Chapter 111, She Wants You to Whip Her Too. Zutui could hear the hidden meaning behind those words. He was probably afraid that Miss Liu would really take Zutun as a student and affect the research plan. Thus, Luo Shifeng deliberately omitted the word intern when he introduced them. There was a world of difference between the levels of an intern researcher and a researcher. Indeed, Miss Liu was extremely shocked. She had seen many researchers at the Genetic Research Institute. However, she had never seen a student become a researcher at the Genetic Research Institute. Hello, Researcher Zhu. My surname is Liu, and my full name is Liu Lan. I am a teaching assistant from the School of Neurology. Hello, Miss Liu. They had greeted each other and could be considered to have gotten to know each other. Even though Zutui had just started to interact with Luo Shifeng, he had already learned a little from him. Time. Since he had to do it, he had to hurry. He could not waste time. Miss Liu, if you have no problems, we can start now, Zutui said. This way, Researcher Zhu, all of the subdivisional neural stimulation devices in the Research Institute of the School of Neurology are highly refined instruments. Furthermore, they are directly aimed at the surface of the body to be activated. So, before we begin, we need you to clean up and put on your research clothes. Also, after she said this, Liu Lan suddenly looked Zutui up and down and said, "You would have to deal with your body hair if it is rather abundant." Zutui froze. She even had to put it that way. Does it specifically mean certain body parts, or Zutui was a little embarrassed? Liu Lan suddenly reacted. She instinctively stared at a certain spot on Zutui's body and quickly shook her head. Not the specific body parts. What I'm referring to was the density of hair in the common area. Under normal circumstances, a man's head and other bodily functions were not outside of this subdivision. Of course, it was hard to say if they were involved in research. You would have to deal with it if you need it in the later stages. Zutui instinctively clenched his legs together. He felt a little resistant. If the experiment really reached that stage, he could accept having his head shaved off. However, cleaning his body meant taking a shower. After a comfortable hot bath, Zutui wore sandals and a pair of scientific research shorts that perfectly displayed his physique. He was then brought by Liu Lan and put on the first piece of stimulating equipment that she had brought along. Zutui suddenly froze when he saw Liu Lan. She had become shorter. She had almost been on par with Zutui just now. They were lined up so close that she reached Zutui's eyebrows. She was now shorter than Zutui's head. She was only 1.63 meters tall. He glanced at Liu Lan, who was wearing the same slippers as him. Zutui immediately understood. Heightening insoles. She had worn taller shoes just now. She must have grown by more than 10 centimeters. What a magical feeling. Researcher Zhu, there are different stages of stimulation. The intensity of the stimulation will gradually increase during the process. It might be a little uncomfortable. If you can't take it, press on the button and it will stop instantly. If there are no problems, we can start with the neck. No problem. Zutui quickly agreed to the request. However, he started to regret his decision a few minutes later. He even felt like he was better off dead. He had no problem with a slight pain. He could also withstand it if it was several times stronger. After all, Zutui had also been injured in battle. However, it was itchy. With FCAC. The itch was too much for him. He experienced a variety of sensations. The itchiness and pain alternated. He felt like he was in the ninth heaven of water and fire. For the first time, Zutui felt that the novels he read in the past, where they told him about the 9 heavens of water and fire being an awesome feeling, was all a lie. It was a complete lie. Zutui only wanted to choose between fire and ice if he had a choice. Unfortunately, he had no choice. He had to endure it. Occasionally, the sudden stimulation of the electric current would cause Zutui to twitch violently. Could this be the price of scientific research? Research was a lonely process. Many times, scientific research felt more like an ongoing trial and error. Out of the thousands of trials and errors, he would succeed if he got it right even once. That was what Zutui was doing now. Ordinary people did not have introspection, much less illusory introspection. What Zhu Tui needed to do was use scientific research to find a way for an ordinary person to sense or activate these genetic base points. However, according to Professor Luo Shifeng, the scientific research that Zhu Tui had to go through was dozens of times easier than what they had experienced in the past. The research that they had done in the past was a trial and error process. The money and effort they expended were not on the same level. After all, they had to determine if a direction was right or wrong after they tested it out. If their judgment was wrong, the money and effort they wasted would be astronomical. Before this, such a situation was common. At Zhu Tui's side, he only needed to continuously experiment and find the correct answer. There was no need to verify it. That was because Zhu Tui's consciousness was a natural judgment machine. Zhu Tui once again experienced the hardships of being a researcher in the research center of the School of Neurology. They did not rest at noon. As an important tool for his experiment, even his lunch was ordered for him by another assistant teacher. Zhu Tui was still a student. His time was limited. He had to make the best use of his time. Zhu Tui, who had become a little sensitive to the pain and itchiness, was rather happy eating a free meal. After all, he had saved himself another meal, right? However, today's segmented nerve stimulation experiment only lasted 3 hours before it stopped. 3 hours was a threshold. The sensitivity of a subject's body would gradually decrease if the period of nerve stimulation in their body exceeded 3 hours. This would affect the effects of the experiment. Thus, the first day ended in 3 hours. Zhu Tui left after he reviewed the trial records. He still had classes in the afternoon. Assistant Liu Lan was the one who sent Zhu Tui off when he left. When she was sending him off, Liu Lan, who had changed into a new pair of shoes, miraculously reached a height of 1.76 meters. That's a pair of fake long legs. They had 2 theory classes in the afternoon, multiform genetic evolution. Zhu Tui did not go to class. Instead, he went straight to the library. He found the relevant textbooks and materials in the library and started flipping through them. He flipped through the pages extremely quickly. Basically, he had to flip to another page every 10 seconds. He spent more than an hour flipping through the first-year textbooks of the multiform genetic evolution and half of the second-year textbooks. There were still 30 minutes before class ended. Zhu Tui brought his small notebook back to the classroom. He would find an opportunity to capture the teacher and ask for guidance. He had to consult them at a time like this for the things he did not understand during the reading process just now. Zhu Tui suddenly felt a little more relaxed after he understood the questions in his head. He had already completed the first-year course of the multiform genetic evolution. Not only did he remember it backward, but he also understood it. Could this be the strength of the School of Enlightened Mind? Not only do I have an amazing memory, but my comprehension ability is also incredible. Zhu Tui felt a little smug. He would be able to finish most of the theory lessons soon. He was about to return to his dormitory after class. He had not seen his roommate, Luo Murong, for a few days. Zhu Tui wanted to learn more about genetic ancient martial arts from him. However, Zhu Tui received a call from Chai Zhao just after class. "Brother, come to the A44 competition room in the building. I've already reserved a room." "Brother Chai, do you still want to fight?" Zhu Tui was startled. "It's not me, it's your sister-in-law. She misses your whip. She wants you to whip her." Perhaps he had thought of something. Chai Zhao quickly added, "Something happened. She wants to use your mental whip to train herself."